Welcome in, everybody, to another live edition of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin and DK in the background. We got a lot to talk about tonight. First off, Glenn, how you doing on a Tuesday night, my man?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. Although I will say it's tough watching the national shows talk Ravens football right now, Jimbo. It's not a
Yeah,
lot of optimism surrounding this team after last week's performance, and more bad news coming out of Ravens camp or Ravens headquarters today, as we learned that there's a pretty key Raven who just got put on IR, Jimbo.
yep. Yeah, I mean, we got so much to talk about tonight, and of course, we're going to get into that. Hang in there with us because we're going to talk about everything from the snap counts to recent injuries, like Glenn talked about, recent acquisitions, and then, of course, the playoff picture. So much to get into tonight. Adding your super chats as you see fit and compelled to do so, and we'll make sure to put them up on the screen. But, Glenn, I think the best place and I have a big announcement, Glenn.
Oh,
Big announcement. I've
okay.
finally come to a certain conclusion, and I'm ready to talk about it. So you guys hang in there, because in a little bit I'm gonna give you this big announcement. But with all that said, Glenn, I think the best place to start is the last game, and talk about the use of our guys' snap counts and otherwise. Because
Well,
I think it's a really interesting conversation. A lot of head scratchers, right?
there is, but I don't think we can go further than the breaking news, right? I mean, it's
Fair
breaking
enough.
today. I
All right,
mean,
fair
yeah,
enough.
we're gonna talk snap count, but I mean, we got a new Raven, an old
Yep.
face, familiar face comes back, but
Yeah, new old Raven.
yeah, if you didn't hear, news came out today that Devin Duvernay suffered a foot injury in practice that caused him to be placed on the IR, ending his regular season. Right? I mean, I guess
Mm-hmm.
is there optimism that he may
No, he ain't
return?
coming
So
back.
his season is over. Correct?
Yeah, I think at the very least it's a serious sprain, but a lot of people are already speculating that's a Liz Frank.
And putting him on the IR, I think it certainly ends his regular season. I just don't know the rules on whether or not he might be able to come back. But either way, Devin Duvernay's hurt. He's on the IR, so we're certainly going to be without him for the remainder of the regular season. And to kind of in response to that move, the Ravens signed Sammy Watkins or claimed Sammy Watkins off waivers
Mm-hmm.
from the Green Bay Packers. So Sammy's back in town.
Oh boy, Sammy's back in town.
Yeah, Sammy is back in town. What's your thought? I mean, look, this doesn't shock me to hear that there's an injury to Devin Duvernay. My only thing is, how long has this injury really been going on? Because he
Yeah,
has not looked like himself in probably 6 weeks. He
yeah.
looks like a completely different guy on the
Really
return.
since the Bengals game, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah, in the return game and in on offense, everything. So, what's your thoughts when you saw the news break?
Yeah, I'm really bummed. I also selfishly, like, I feel a bit vindicated because now I have a built-in excuse for my bad predictions. But more importantly, I'm really bummed for the Ravens, of course, because it's just another blow, not only positionally, like you said, the All-Pro return guy, and and not punt returner and kick returner, but
Yeah.
in addition to that, I mean, it's just another morale blow, right? Like, the guys have got to be saying in the locker room, all right, here we go again. Here's another guy that is now out on injury. So yeah, just a real bummer for the team, and not stoked about it. Now on the other side, I'm also as equally surprised, Glenn, that Sammy Watkins is still healthy.
Well, he's had some injuries this year,
Yeah,
but yeah.
that hammy seems to be still bothering him, right?
Yeah, I at this point, I don't know if it's just he can't stay healthy, or it's like what's the level of desire to really be out there for Sammy White. It makes you kind of wonder, like, what's he
Mm-hmm.
really playing for? Is it more than just the paycheck?
Yeah, that's the same question I have. Like, why still play when you're being bounced around from team to team as a vet? Um, he's already got a Super Bowl ring. He was first round pick. I'm sure he's got plenty of money. So yeah, what is the desire? Obviously, he's oft injured with the same hamstring. It seems like that keeps flaring up over and over again. So yeah, I have the same questions myself. Sammy had moments last year. He had some moments, but
Yeah.
like you said, the
Also had some
desire.
moments that made you just
Yeah, that
want to
that
just
Dolphins
shake
game will be
somebody.
forever burnt into my head, where he didn't go after that ball. That was a really weird one. So, yeah, that was a tough one. Sean Pisker says, "Man, trying to stay positive, but I can't help but feel like this season is slipping away. Hard to see otherwise. Am I crazy?"
No, you're not crazy at all. It's starting to feel that way. It's hard. It's hard right now to look at this team and see an optimistic outlook. I mean, unless we hear Lamar's back at practice this week and he looks phenomenal and all that. But even I mean that I think they're going to play cautious with him and it's kind of the way I look at it. Like earlier in the season, we had doubts and we had questions about the run game. The run game wasn't hitting on all cylinders. It was either Lamar making the heroic, make three guys miss first down run, or it really wasn't a whole lot other than that. But we at least had a reason to be optimistic when it came to the run game because we saw guys on the horizon like, well, man, when Stanley gets back, it's definitely going to be better than with those guys out there. And then when JK comes back and then when Gus comes back, like there was where is the optimism about the current state and the current issues in the past? Like it's just Lamar, but there's nobody else who's coming who's going to help.
Right.
I mean, unless you are a huge Sammy Watkins fan, I think
Greg Roman is.
Yeah, I think there's reason to be concerned here. But I will say also, Sean, if Lamar Jackson comes back and they hit some plays and they are efficient in the passing game and that run game is looking the way it's been looking, maybe there will be some reason for optimism.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing about the NFL, let's be honest, it's week to week, right? The Jaguars. So I'm trying to help Sean with some positivity here. The Jaguars were out of it. And look, now they're a game back.
Look at the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions. The Packers have a fighting shot. I mean, there's teams that look like, so it's a week to week thing. Look, we still have a chance to win the division. I know we're not the odds on favorites, but which we'll get into later because I have a bone to pick with that. All that being said, really, if Lamar can come back, like you said, Glenn, and this will be the first time in I think almost 2 years that they'll be together in the backfield, the three of them. And with a healthy Ronnie Stanley, knock on wood. So, I mean, look, that's something to be reckoned with in and of itself. If Lamar can just be, like you said, efficient, I think that's what you hold on to, Sean. That's what you hold on to. A lot of ifs there, but that's what I'm hanging my hat on.
The only alternative is to just be completely negative and miserable
Yeah.
about it. Like there's no alternative, so I'll choose to be optimistic. Patrick says, I listened to y'all's show. I listened to all of y'all's shows, but this is the first time I caught y'all live. Just wanted to say thanks for the great content. Keep it up. Also, our team is killing me this season. I appreciate the kind words and the support, Patrick. But yeah, this is a frustrating. I just hope. My only thing is like it's starting to look a little bit like last year, and I'm please don't.
I know.
Don't.
I'm ready to fire our strength and conditioning coaches.
Well, my whole thing of if it keeps being a foot injury, like do you look at the equipment, like what, or do you look at your teaching methods? Are you teaching certain issues, things that make the foot?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Drills that you're running that are putting stress on that area for wide receiver. What's up, dude? Keith Williams and T. Martin. We need to make a call, dude. What kind of drills you got? These guys is the soccer ball drill messing them up? What's going on here, dude? The other thing I got to ask you, Glenn. Where do you think, Patrick? I want to know what state you're from.
What? Because of y'all's? Well, that's a Maryland thing.
All of y'all's. You think so?
Oh yeah, dude. When I went on a cruise out of New York, everybody on the cruise thought I was from the South.
Dude, I never ever in life have said y'all.
I say y'all all the time, and I text y'all.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, you've traveled you've traveled, so you're not. You're not. Dude,
I get a hard time for the way I say straw and oil. Like change the oil in your car. I get that one all the time. And I'll say to someone, you want a straw? They're like, a straw? I'm like, sorry, dude. It's not because like out west they say straw.
Ah, okay.
Like,
well, now you're not even allowed to use a straw.
Yeah, it's not an AH, you morons.
That thing better be biodegradable if you pull a straw out.
That's a straw hay. Like that's all it's getting me at this point. But no, anyway, there's some optimism you can hold on to. But yeah, I think like he said, it is starting to look like a repeat of last year. It's a bad nightmare, right? Just slapping yourselves. Wake up! Wake up! One of those things.
Mm-hmm. And it's just Quan says Andy Isabella can play special teams. It would be the fastest, easy, I guess, replacement. It's like he's in witness protection. Nobody has seen or heard from Andy Isabella since he signed to the Ravens practice squad. We don't know if this. I mean, I don't know.
Does he still exist?
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point. Does anyone follow this gentleman on Twitter? Can we verify that the man has tweeted since he's been on the Ravens practice squad? Because, yeah, I mean, he would be the logical guy to be brought up. He's been on the team the longest. He's been here longer than, has he not been here longer than Deshaun Jackson?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Sammy Watkins. Like, yeah, I would have thought that we'd see a corresponding move, but that could still be the case come this weekend.
That's going to be their secret ace in the hole.
No,
Ace in the hole. That's what it's going to be. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's called up. But that definitely is something we're going to get into as well as a part of our snap count breakdown. Yeah, I mean, it was funny because when I saw the news, I thought it was a joke because I originally thought, watch the Ravens go claim this guy. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Like, I was like, oh gosh, this is a perfect claim. This would be a typical Ravens move, right? And then they claimed him, and I was like,
right in.
I was like, wait a second, this is a joke, right? Like, this isn't real. And then I saw the Duvernay injury, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is real.
Real deal. That's
really
right.
happening. And this is my last question. Can Sammy, if he's healthy, can he do anything to move the needle in your mind, Glenn?
I mean, if he's healthy, he's better than what we have. Yeah. So, yeah, he can. I mean, he just doesn't play like a Raven, which bothers a bunch of fans. He doesn't have that toughness. He'll short arm a ball if he thinks there's going to be contact. He just doesn't really fit the Ravens, like, the history of being a Raven. But
yeah,
that being said, he's better than James Prochet. That's for damn sure. And he's better than I'm trying to think of a guy who I would say is better than him when he's healthy. Maybe Robinson and him have a pretty good battle, but that's it.
Yeah, and
Duvernay and Bateman are out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I still have to lean towards Sammy even in that scenario.
And then what? Tylan Wallace? He's better than Tylan Wallace.
Yeah, dude? If Tylan Wallace can't get some snaps at wide receiver, what is happening? If James Prochet gets snaps and Tylan Wallace doesn't, what on earth?
Yeah.
Glenn, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, that's all you need to know right there about Tylan Wallace.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to this super chat real quick, and then that's a natural transition and kind of into our next conversation around those that snap count. So Masi says, if Lamar leaves next season, which is looking more than likely, what you think of getting Jordan Love or Trey Lance? They would fit Ravens offense best, especially Love, and he is a good kid, no scandals. He balled versus the Eagles. I don't want Trey. Trey Lance is not going anywhere. I mean, they gave up a song for Trey Lance, if I'm not mistaken, on that pick, referencing the 49ers. Mm-hmm. And Jordan Love, I don't want Jordan Love. I mean, there's really nothing else to say about that. I don't want him. And then the last thing I can see.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the last thing is that I don't see any way that I don't think Lamar's leaving. I don't think he's getting out of here. Unless we are getting a monument. You look at Deshaun Watson's deal, double it. Because he's better than Deshaun Watson, and he has no history of all of Deshaun's dealings, right? So unless that happens, which I don't think it does, I don't think Lamar leaves. I mean, at the very least, we're gonna get a scenario in which he's playing under the tag.
Yeah, there's no way he's just outright gone next year.
Yeah.
So I think there's just but I will say this, I think there will be a market for Jordan Love because of the fact that if you don't have your first, if you don't have one of the top picks in the draft and you're quarterback needy, why not take a shot on Jordan Love? I guarantee
he'll end up with the Colts.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably the perfect destination. But I could see a team taking a shot on a guy who maybe they think is closer to being ready since he's been in the league a little longer, and you could probably get him for a third rounder.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Glenn, let's talk about this because you brought it up an interesting subject before as we were kind of prepping around the snap counts and the head scratchers around this last game. Yeah. So, do you have a graphic with the snap counts on it? Let's see. What can we glean from the game snap count? Yeah, lots of questions here, lots of head scratchers.
I got it up here. Okay, let me pull it up because there's some. I mean, everybody talks about the importance of every single roster spot and how, if you're going to have a guy active, it takes a lot of thought to who you're going to have active, who you're not. And if you're going to have a guy up, you'd like him to play. You'd like him to contribute. Excuse me. Had some dinner here. It's coming back up. All right, let's get into the
Can
snap.
you zoom in on that?
Yeah, let me see here. How do I do that?
Just take your like the gesture is just like this.
Okay.
There. Nice.
All right. All right. So should I go further in?
Yeah, you should. Just a little bit. Yeah.
All right,
Nice.
cool. All right. So you can see at the top, no surprises. Your entire offensive line and quarterback play 100%. But as you go down, I just want to go over a couple ones here. Like Nick Boyle. Explain to me why Nick Boyle is active. Charlie Kohler is inactive, Jimbo. He's a healthy, inactive player. Nick Boyle plays one snap. Why in the hell can Charlie Kohler not get a look, not get a sniff of a first? He couldn't have done one snap, Jimbo?
Not a one, Glenn. Not a one.
I don't understand that. Then I go down further. They hype up the debut of David Ojabo. I see it on the Twitter. I see this graphic, him looking like a badass, just dressed up in his warrior outfit. He's ready to go to war with his brothers out there, right?
Yep.
One snap, Jimbo. What the hell is the point of having him active for one snap? And then I look at the inactives and I go, well, Ben Cleveland just had his best performance in a timeshare role with Cologne, and I understand that, but he has his best performance. Kevin Zeitler's coming off a knee injury where, Coach said himself, it's kind of a flare-up thing. So in theory, it could flare up at any time. You have Ben Cleveland inactive. And why do you do it? That way you could get one snap for David Ojabo. What if that knee flares up for Kevin Zeitler? Who are you going to turn to? Now you only have Cologne. You don't have the option of going to Ben Cleveland. Oh, but you had to get Nick Boyle in there for his one snap. I don't understand the logic behind having these guys active to play one snap, Jimbo.
No, I'm with you 100% because if you go up where the tight if you go up to the tight ends here, you can also you can also see Likely and Oliver. Oliver is playing a lot of football right now, and they've already talked about how good of a blocker he is. So the only time I really see Boyle, you already talked about, but is really as a special teams contributor, and Likely and Oliver, I'm sure can do the same stuff. So I don't get it, especially like you said, with a guy like Cleveland on the bench. That didn't make much sense to me. The other thing I want to point out too, Glenn, James Prochet played 3 snaps, and one of them we decided to throw the ball to him with the game on the line.
Yeah, no rhythm.
Stupid.
Like
what is happening here? There were so many other things. I would have rather Justice Hill had the football in a running scenario.
By the way, Justice Hill had more than double the backfield snaps than Gus Edwards had. Who by the way, Gus and JK didn't have a fourth quarter carry.
Insane.
Averaged 10 yards a carry and like 9 yards or 7 yards a carry. I mean,
at the end of the game, remember we talked about this? We were like, oh, well, all of a sudden people think we got to throw because you're down. Well, we're averaging more a carry than we were per passing attempt.
Not even close. Like double.
Double. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And the big plays, if you just count up how many big plays were on the ground and how many on the through the air, the top 3 big plays that day on the ground.
Yeah.
7 of the 10 biggest plays in that game were on the ground.
Well, I smell a little bit of sarcasm from Marco G here. Boyle over Kohler. At least Hammy Watkins is back.
I just don't look. Normally I can kind of understand and see like the logic, but I just don't understand. Like, what is the Nick Boyle contingency plan? What is the reason to have Ojabo up to play one snap? I get it's a crowded room in the outside linebacker room, but
sit him.
Exactly. Then why even have him up? I mean, I don't get it, man. It's just frustrating because it's just a bunch of head scratching moves out there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of weird ones for me as well. I mean, I didn't understand much of it either. So yeah, I mean that was a weird one. The other thing I want to mention too, in regards to the kind of the snap counts is, Brandon Stevens' numbers were up, and just as you guys have all seen this because I think it came out right after the game. Marcus Peters seemed to avoid a major injury. we just didn't talk about it live. It's just a calf sprain, which seems to be a yearly thing for him at this point. So hopefully he knows how to get through it and is able to get back on the field. But yeah, a lot of weird ones, a lot of interesting usage or non-usage of players. We talked about him a second ago. Andy Isabella could have been up. Why couldn't he take 3 snaps from James Prochet, right? If you're talking 1-for-1 in his position, or
Duvernay.
tight end.
Why not let Duvernay, who's obviously been hurt for a while, why not give him a little? It's not like he's giving you a bunch as a returner right now anyway. Why not give him a blow? Give him a break. Yeah, let Andy Isabella take the return game over. It's not like, I mean, look, you know me about taking Duvernay out of returner role.
Yeah, you're sensitive about
it. I mean, I want our best guys in their best role, but right now, he just doesn't look like him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 100%. And you called it. I mean, he noticeably injured, and it was really unfortunate. But Laura Roten says, "Hi, I'm quite late to the ball game. Is Jackson not playing on Saturday?" So yeah, I haven't seen any reports yet, except that he wasn't in the open part of practice.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean he wasn't doing the closed portions of practice. And if this weren't John Harbaugh and how the Ravens operate, I would say for sure, because he wasn't in the open part of practice, he's not going to be there. But they play things really close to the vest, and so there's still a possibility. And I'm just fingers crossed, hoping that he goes, because shout out to my wife, she got me tickets for this Christmas Eve game. So I'm hoping that Jackson is there. DK and his daughter are also going to the game.
Nice.
Should be pretty awesome.
And I just like I told Jimbo, DK, I expect you to be watching the sidelines. Get the stuff that we don't see on TV. If there's bickering, if people are ready to strangle one another on the sidelines in between with commercials out, I need the reporting behind the scenes from you two on Saturday.
100%. We got you. Let's see. Isabella's more proven in the NFL than Prochet. True. Just doesn't make sense. Also, I'm from VA near Richmond. All right, fair enough. So you're south of the Mason-Dixon. I think you said that earlier. Yeah, you're near Brad's neck of the woods.
Yep,
all right.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, Isabella is. I don't get what they see in James Prochet. I don't get what anyone sees in James Prochet. First of all, when you see him in person, I mean, look, I'm not a big guy. I feel like I would easily bring James Prochet to the ground. Like, he's just a small, like, he looks so tiny. He doesn't have speed. He has hands where he'll drop it if you hit him. I don't get.
Let me ask you a question, Glenn. Do you think I could beat him in a race?
In a straight line? Yes. 100%.
You think? Hey, DK, I got some speed to me now.
See,
I hit 19. I hit 19 miles an hour.
DK don't know how fast you are. Like, he don't know that running is what Jimmy Haskell, the rascal, does. All right, that's what he does.
But that's also a bad. If we're even considering this, it's a bad sign if you're a wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah,
because Andy Isabella would beat me in reverse.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
it shouldn't even be a discussion, but honestly, I think it is, especially if you had some time to train for it.
Yeah, I just also want to say really quick, I hit 19 with the phone in the hand and on vacation. Just saying. So I could show Glenn because he was trolling me the day before.
He's so easy to troll, dude. You're so easy to just get fired up. And just play off that competitive side. I can just poke at that competitive nature. And I know I can get you fired. The fact that my son's miles per hour was anywhere close to you, it just got you fired up.
It just caught me too early, dude. I didn't have enough runway.
Plus, you were barefoot.
But dude, I did with the phone. I'm like this. I'm like, Glenn has to see this. Oh my gosh. Anyway, all right. So yeah, some total head scratchers there. It'll be interesting to see how the Ravens do this coming week with the roster snap count distribution. But Glenn, I have a huge announcement. I want to talk about this before we get into the next segment of the show, which is going to be the playoff picture. All right.
Which I have a bunch of scenarios ready. Okay.
Perfect. So I finally come to the conclusion, and it's funny. It's good timing because someone actually just tweeted at me and just said, I love this person's handle is the Ale Greg Roman, the real Greg Roman, but it's capitalized really weird. Point is, the real Greg Roman on Twitter just said that they like me. I always have their back. Not sure why. And I have news. I finally decided that the lion's share of the blame for the offensive struggles lays at the feet of Greg Roman. And that he is the fault and father of all of the issues that are plaguing the Baltimore Ravens offensively.
Dang.
Greg Roman needs to go. He needs to go. Not now, not this year. Obviously, like, I'm not crazy, but he needs to go. And this is why, Glenn. I thought about this because I've done a lot of these practices in my head in other aspects of my life. So I feel like I've gotten good at trying to deduce truth. And part of that is, what do I believe to be true and what am I unsure about? All right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the other quarterbacks, Josh Allen has a number one. You know, you think of Jalen Hurts has a number one. But if you look at Mahomes, he doesn't really have a number one receiver, right? Everyone will say Kelsey, but that's fine because if you look at kind of how their pass catchers are built, it's kind of similar to the Ravens. Like, I think that's fair to say. You got Mark Andrews and you got a handful of guys. You know what I mean? And obviously we have a running attack, but what I believe is that Patrick Mahomes is in a league of his own. But what I also believe is that
hold on. That's another thing that I think deserves pause. What you just said.
Come on. I mean, the dude is at least this far. Well, okay, but let me finish my statement.
All right, go ahead.
What I also believe is that Lamar Jackson is like nipping at the dude's heels. And I think that Lamar Jackson, more than any of the other guys in his best condition, is the closest talent-wise, like individual talent, most impactful player in comparison to Patrick Mahomes, I think is Lamar Jackson. People can say I'm biased, but I think that he's the closest to him. And so if that is true, and our offense is struggling so bad and nothing close to the production that Kansas City has, what is the difference? Well, Greg Roman is calling plays for the Baltimore Ravens, and Andy Reid, potentially the best play caller of all time, is making wide receivers borderline Hall of Famers. I'm being hyperbolic there, but he's making them Pro Bowlers. Like, why isn't any of that happening for our guys? They're not even staying the same. They're getting worse. Like, there's no improvement. They're not getting better. There's no easy passes. Nothing is done easy. So all I'm saying is that Greg Roman is the issue, because I believe that if all other things are the same, our team offensively, in a lot, in the running game, we're better, but in a lot of ways, we're very similar to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they are so much better than us offensively. And I think a lot of it just has simply to comes down to the system. That's what I've decided.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm finally off the ship, Glenn. I'm off the ship. I can't do it anymore.
Hey, you were on there longer than almost anyone else. I mean, the fact that I think you came off after all the lifeboats were out.
Yeah.
Everybody was in the water.
I'm just holding on to the last piece of wood.
Dude, you're at the top. Like, you're going down and you're stepping off as that final mass is going under the water.
This is a mistake.
That's right. Booby Miles says, Shamar Bridges, Ben Victor. Hey, we might get a look at Shamar or Ben this week. I mean, wait and see, because with the injury, I don't know how quickly Sammy can get acclimated. He was here before, knows the offense, but let's see who's the logic, or who's the direct replacement for what Duvernay's going on. Jimbo might want to check the but we can hear you fine. It's more your video.
Switch my Wi-Fi. Give me a sec.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think What I look at this offense, the thing that bugs me is that everybody, Greg Roman talks about just time. Like, there's a big pie of time, and you have to allocate time to different things. And because this run game is so intricate, so difficult to coach, so difficult to learn, I guess it takes so much of that pie away. There's only a small sliver left allowed for time to practice and work on the passing portion. But So what I would say to that is, let's take some of that damn time you're spending on the run game and find a way to allocate that to the passing game. Now, they might say, well, that means our run game won't be as complex and won't be as efficient. Then find a way to coach it better. Find a way to coach it and have it learned and absorbed by your players in a quicker way. That way you don't need to take up so much of that pie to have this intricate run system. I mean, there's got to be a way where you can self-evaluate and find a way to teach it, make it more coachable, easier to teach, and easier to absorb if you're a player. There's just you can't tell me that, well, if we start practicing too much on the pass game, then the run game's going to fall to shambles. It's got to be, we got to keep what we got here and add to it and get this element a little bit better than hot garbage, which is what it's currently at. I mean, that's the part that drives me crazy. It's like, well, we spend so much time on this. Well, if it takes that much time, then you got to try something different. And if you can't find a way to teach it, make it easier to learn, then, you got to try something different. True Ravens Chick says, John acting like Giro is not the problem is also a problem. Love Harbs, but no. Well, I see.
John's not going to do that right now. It does us no good. What's
like what good would it be if he went up there and just badmouth? Like, you know what? Giro's messing up. He's got to be better. His ass is out of here. Like,
you don't think they're having those conversations in amongst each other? You better believe it, John. If nothing else, the hardballs are. I'm trying to think of a better way to say this, but they're alphas. They're not going to sit there and let somebody. He's going to make his feelings known, right? Like, sure, not to the press because it makes no sense. They're having conversations internally. If someone's doing a bad job, John's going to tell you.
Absolutely.
So don't believe what he says in the media.
It just doesn't help anybody for him to go up there and single anybody out, player, coach, anybody. It would be that wouldn't be good. Now, I don't also want him to go up there and like kind of do what Jerry Jones did after Dak Prescott has a bad game and talk about how he had a fantastic game and he made great decisions and threw the ball beautifully. And I think you can say there's a middle ground there. You could say, we believe in our guys. We have fit, you don't have to go overboard, but also, don't call a guy out and kind of put him on blast for the world to see. Max says, here from the end of the bar, let's cut Prochet. I mean, what I just don't see what value he's bringing to this team. He doesn't help you on special teams. He's not even like your replacement there. It's Justice Hill. And he gives you 4 snaps, and when you finally try and count on him, he drops the ball. I don't get what his contributions are. I'd rather have an extra DB up.
Yep.
Rather have an extra lineman up. Like, I don't understand what value he's bringing to this team.
Yeah, Kohler. I mean, who cares if there's 5 tight ends dressed? But, I mean, at the end of the day, James Prochet ain't getting the job done. So, problem.
Yeah.
But all right, Glenn, anyway, I wanted to get that off my chest because I know that's something that, has been a talking point on this show. But I want to get to our playoff picture. That's a living, breathing thing every week for the Baltimore Ravens. And obviously we know that the Cincinnati Bengals have now taken ownership of the first place in the division. And the Ravens are no longer odds-on favorite to win the division, which is good timing for us, right?
Yeah.
She's a whiz.
Yeah.
But, the Ravens weren't going to do anything but make you wait until. Who thought the Ravens were going to do anything except make it come down to the last game?
Right.
You know what I mean?
We do. That's what we do.
All right. So anyway, let's talk kind of about the playoff picture. If you want to throw that graphic you got up there, or if that's what you have, right? You have like the.
Yeah, I got it up.
Cool. Awesome. Let's talk about, because I got kind of a bone to pick, Glenn.
Oh, okay. With me
with the odds.
Okay. All right.
And it probably has to do, just let me explain myself real quick. It probably has to do with the health of Lamar Jackson is my guess, and how poorly the Ravens have been playing. But still, this holds true. Right now, of course, the Bengals are in first in the division at 10-4. The Ravens are 9-5. But the Ravens have the Falcons and the Steelers before they play the Bengals. The Bengals have the Patriots. Okay, they're the Patriots. We saw what they were. And the Bills. But there's a much higher likelihood of us going 2-0 in comparison to them going 2-0.
Yeah.
And so basically what they're saying is that there's, I think, a 67% or whatever. Anyway, 60 some odd percent chance that they're going to win the division. So that basically means there's a 60 some odd percent chance that they're going to beat us in the last game. So anyway, I think I give us better odds than in the 30s to win that last game, is I guess my bone to pick. So anyway, just wanted to say that. But yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs are still fighting it out for the number seed. Currently, Buffalo's in that number 1 seed spot since they beat Kansas City in their head-to-head matchup. But Like you said, Jimbo, they need to keep pace. They can't afford to lose a game. So I love the fact that they still have so much to play for. That's a coveted number one seed. Only the number one seed gets the bye week. So, it's not like in years past where there's not a ton of difference being one or two. There's a big difference being the number one seed. And I think Buffalo is going to do everything they can to stay up there. So, yeah, I think that's essential for the Cincinnati Bengals to have a much tougher schedule. I look at, the Patriots, they had one of the absolute dumbest play calls. Like, one of the worst ways I've ever seen a team lose a game in NFL history. I mean, it was awful.
Yeah.
But having said that, they are still a much tougher matchup than the Atlanta Falcons with Ritter as their quarterback and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So both the last two games for the Bengals are more challenging than the Ravens' last two games until they take on each other, of course. But then you can see Cincinnati there sitting at the 3 spot, 10-4. But do want to point out the fact that they have a 2-3 division record. And also, if the Ravens were to go into that final game down a game and do beat the Cincinnati Bengals, then, of course, they'd have the head-to-head tiebreaker as well. So, really, they could go into that final game, even a game back, as long as they can pull off the upset and beat them in Cincinnati and still win the division. Tennessee Titans sitting at 7-7, currently leading their division. But, man, I mean, I think Jacksonville's going to catch them, Jimbo.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, they've
lost the last 4 games in a row, the Tennessee Titans have, and they just look to be sliding.
And the opposite can be said for what Jacksonville's doing. I mean, they come back, they beat the Cowboys in a walk-off pick 6 in overtime fashion. I mean, they're feeling themselves right now. I mean, they are playing crazy good right now. So I'd watch Jacksonville to see if they don't ultimately end up catching them. I don't think two teams are going to come out of that division. So I think it's one or the other, in my opinion, and I think it's going to be the Jacksonville Jags eventually.
Yeah, and just a random fact as well, the Ravens, not that we thought this was going to happen, but we did talk about it in the previous show that we talked about the playoffs. They now have, I think, a 0.1 or 0.2% chance of getting the number one seed. So that is essentially gone, right? Like, we're just shooting for a division win at this point.
Absolutely. So let's get into some of here's what's really interesting. When you look at the playoff scenarios, the Ravens, it's certainly not dire in any way when you talk about from just making the playoffs, scenario. Like they can easily make the playoffs. Winning the division is going to be a little more challenging, but let's see here. I got a bunch of scenarios I'm going to throw up. Here we go.
Yeah, and after that, I'm going to ask you to make some predictions.
Okay, I can do that. Oh,
all right.
Let me see here. All right, here we go on the screen. So, as you can see here, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit if I can figure out how to. So, look at that. Week 16, Baltimore playoff scenario. So, I believe this is saying they will clinch a playoff spot with a win plus a New England loss or tie and a Miami loss or tie. That's not that out of the realm of possibilities, right?
Do we know who Miami plays? Let me look it up. Because we know who the Patriots play, and that's very likely a loss. Right?
Who's that? The Bengals. Yeah, they play the Bengals. And who else is it? Miami?
And the Miami plays the Packers.
And the Packers need to win out to have any type of hope.
And they've been running the crap out of the football.
The Ravens could clinch a playoff berth this weekend, Jimbo.
Interesting. And there's all these scenarios are for this week.
Week 16.
So the next one is, Baltimore win, of course, a New England loss or tie, and a New York Jets loss or tie. And the Jets are playing the Jags.
I got the Jets losing.
So we can clinch this week. If we win and New England loses and the Jets lose, hey, take it, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's not...
Life ain't that bad.
Exactly. So while they're not hosting a playoff game, if they get in as a wild card, they're in the dance. And we've seen the Ravens, where do they win their Super Bowl from, Jimbo?
That's right. That last spot. You know it.
That's where that's where a lot of teams, if you look at the last decade, been a lot of wild card teams winning the Super Bowl. So it's not all doom and gloom. As you can see, there's many ways that they could win. Yeah. I mean, there's many different scenarios in which they could come out with a clinch here. So I just wanted to throw that up there because I think this is interesting. Yeah, it's not, and that's just one. All you see is 1 through 6. I also have, let's see here. I got queued up here. As you can see, there's even a few more scenarios. So,
Shout out to this dude,
you
whoever
know,
did all this.
you know,
Goodness.
it's so likely that the Ravens will get in. I think the question is what are they going to be when they get there?
Yeah.
Like, is this going to be a one and done? Is this going to be the easiest first round playoff matchup for whoever they take on in that first round, or is this a team that could actually make some noise once they get in?
Mhm. Well, listen, everyone talked about that year that the Titans ran through us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everyone talked about all of their shortcomings before they entered the playoffs, and then what happened? They ended up blowing what was it, a 24-point lead against the Chiefs
Oh,
in the AFC Championship game? Is that what it was?
was it that bad?
21 at least. It was 21 or
Oh,
24. So look, at the end of the day, that team was a buzzsaw because they had a fired up defense and they had the best running back in the NFL, and
yeah.
therefore the best, run attack at that point in the NFL. So, you never do know. But Glenn, I want to know by the time the last week of the season comes around, okay, in the next 2 weeks, the Ravens will be what? In their record, will they 2-0, 1-1, 0-2? And then the same question I have for you for the Bengals. Are they going to be 2-0 in the next games, 1-1 or 0-2?
I think well, I'll start with the Bengals. I think the Bengals go 1-1. I think they
Okay.
win this week. They lose next weekend against the Buffalo
Buffalo.
Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Ravens, I think they go 1-1 also.
Wow. Okay. You think they beat the Falcons and lose to the Steelers?
I think they lose to the
Ugh.
Steelers. Only it's the Steelers, man. It's so much of their matchups are split, and so
Yeah.
hey, look, I'll be rooting for myself to be wrong here, but
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what that would mean
we got to
is,
win.
yeah, well, yeah, and we're in danger of going 500 in the division where you start 3-0, then you lose every second matchup against a division opponent. Ugh,
Yeah, that's
that's
not good.
ugly.
But
Yeah.
if they win the Bengals game, it doesn't really matter.
Right. Absolutely. All is forgiven, right? But I'm gonna say this. I think the Ravens are 2-0 going into it. Even if Lamar doesn't play this Saturday, the Ravens will get it done at home. They're 7-point favorites with Lamar as a question mark. I
Yep.
think they get it done. I think they run all over the Atlanta Falcons. Who, look, the Atlanta Falcons, say whatever you want about them, but they're a game back. They're the last place in their division, but they're a game out.
So crazy.
I think they're 5 and whatever, 5 and 9,
5-8, 5-9. Yeah.
something. Yeah, 5 and 9, and they're a game out. So they still got a chance, but at the end of the day, they've benched their starter, and it's going to be a real uphill battle for them. Got to come on the road to Baltimore, and it's going to be 25 degrees.
Oh no, did we even talk about that previous comment? I don't know if we gave it the proper.
Which one? Oh, no,
Yeah,
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did. DK, if you want to, there we go. Steven says, if we're one and done in the playoffs, what do you predict for the sorry three? Lamar, Greg, and Harbaugh. Wow. Okay. If we're one and done in the playoffs,
Whatever it is, unless Super Bowl, Greg's gone.
Greg's gone. Lamar and Harbaugh are still here.
Yeah. I think whatever scenario it is,
No matter what happens, unless there's a Super Bowl run, maybe even then. How many? Yeah, let me kick that to you, Jimbo. If they win the Super Bowl, is Greg gone?
How does the offense look in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, they get you 25 a game, and we're winning games 25 to 17.
Ugh, you're killing me right now because they're just good enough, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't make
If
them
they're
too
just good
here.
enough, then he's gone.
Okay.
But if they are just mowing teams down and things are clicking,
Just a lightning in the bottle type.
yeah, look, and I'm a Ravens fan, right? So take this with a grain of salt, but this is a Ravens show. Lamar Jackson is still Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Gus and JK and Lamar are going to be in the backfield the first time in 2 years with a healthy Ronnie as well. And Mark Andrews has been playing awful. You cannot expect those three huge components of this offense to remain the same. Those guys are going to get back, which will change everything. Ronnie's healthy, and Mark is going to play better.
Well, I don't want to speak anything into existence, Jimbo.
Oh, Mark is not going to continue to play this poorly. It's not going to happen.
I worry that it's an injury that's causing him to play this poorly, and that we're going to hear something similar to Duvernay pop up and it's only kind of like a matter of time. I hope I'm wrong because I tell you what, he looks furious right now. Like, did you see him in that
So
presser?
angry.
Like
I
he
love
is.
it.
But I mean, I like the passion, but also at the same time, it's like what he's so frustrated with our offense. Like he is pissed right now, and that's not a good thing. Like I don't want our
Yeah.
players to be that furious with our own offense like that. I mean, I guess it's got some good elements to it, but it's also like,
Well,
man,
it's Tuesday. By Saturday, he'll be more clear-headed.
And like I think we're both on the same. Like it's not just his frustrations are not just with other guys. Like he's got to be a lot of it's got to be mad at himself.
Oh, that's
It's
the biggest thing.
underperforming.
And that's the thing about Mark. I solely believe Mark's probably one of the best teammates in the NFL. He's not going to be mad at his teammates. He is solely mad at himself, I believe. I think
Yeah.
other guys would be mad at their teammates, looking around and, mad at the coaching staff, whatever, but he is solely mad at himself. Yeah, so let's see. If we can get a better play caller, would y'all be open to even if it mean open to it, even if it means getting rid of Harbs? How good? I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
he's got to be more than just a great play caller. In my
Yeah.
opinion, he's got to be a great leader. I
Got to
think
be a great developer of talent.
yeah, but man, would I be open to a new I mean, it's such a dependent thing. Like it'd have to be the
Sounds
right
like he's asking
guy.
about Sean Payton.
Man, it'd be hard for me to turn down Sean Payton. I mean, only because this guy has a pedigree. He's won a Super Bowl. He's developed.
DK doesn't want Sean Payton.
I mean, I'm also on the side of he had Drew Brees for how long? He had one Super Bowl, but at the same time, was Drew Brees? It's like chicken or the egg. Like Drew Brees was a good player, but was he that type of player until he got with Sean Payton? That's the question. He had the shoulder injury when he left San Diego. And it kind of makes you wonder, was this a Sean Payton who got him there, or was this Drew Brees' greatness and maybe one Super Bowl wasn't enough? I
just feel like I would love to see him here too, but I don't know if he fits. Like, we need an offensive-minded coach to a certain extent, or we need a great play caller, but Sean Payton doesn't give a crap about defense, in my opinion. He just doesn't really care that much. And, like, that I don't know how well that jives here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I like Harbaugh, so
yeah,
I don't really necessarily, but I see why it's problematic to have a head coach that isn't his own system, because you fall in love with the system, and it's likely that system's going to go elsewhere if it's good enough, because he's going to get head coaching opportunities, and that's the frustration, and I get it.
For sure.
It's just Quan says, do Lamar's play it safe if we clinch the playoff Saturday? That's a good question. So let's say Lamar isn't ready to play this Saturday. The Ravens win with Tyler Huntley under center.
Interesting.
When do you want Lamar back? Like, they've already clinched the playoffs.
Right. How much do you value a home playoff game?
That's the question. And then what if let's take it even further. Say they lose to Pitt and the Bengals go 2-0 in their next two games. Does it change your mindset even more then? Like I don't
Yeah, you're killing me with this question, Quan.
Like, do you think it's valuable? Like, do you think Lamar has to get some type of game reps in before the playoffs?
A big part of me, I'm so split on this, but if I have to give a definitive answer, no. I think it's much better that he's just feeling good. Like his body is feeling good. Because when I think about those AFC North matchups, that Pittsburgh game is going to be a bloodbath. I mean, that's what it is, what these games are, and that's how these teams are right now, right? Like, they're scrapping and fighting for everything they got, and so I don't know if I want, you know what I mean? Like, if he's not ready, if he's not 100% ready to go, I don't know if I want him in that game. Now, if he's 100% ready to go and he feels fine. How much
does the rust scare you? Because he'll show rust. He will show rust.
Yeah, no, and you're not wrong.
That's one thing about Lamar. If he's had some time off, timing isn't always right.
Yeah, it's true. So it sounds like you're leaning the other way, right?
I just hope both happen. Like, I hope he's 100% with time left in the season. Now, if you ask me,
guy's over here dreaming.
If you pin me down and go, he's not 100%, but he can play. That's man, that's the scary one because I think of long term. It's like you said. I mean, now Duvernay's injury is likely going to impact him next year. What I
Yeah,
don't want to have is an injury to Lamar where it
it's
impacts
gonna
next
impact him
season as
next year,
well.
and then the negotiations get even messier. And
Well, just
yeah.
the chances of the Ravens doing well with him not healthy is very low. Michael says, "Glenn, you broke my heart. I'm going to the Steelers game."
Well,
Well,
Michael, Glenn's a closet Steelers fan, so
oh my blasphemy, dude! Disrespect, man.
no, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. Don't listen to Glenn. We're winning that game. It's a home game. We're not losing the Steelers in the bank. Don't listen to
Well, hold
Glenn.
on, Jimbo. Last game we attended,
I know. It ain't
where
happening
was it?
again.
Where was it?
It was
Who
in
were
the
we
bank.
playing and who
Yeah.
won?
Yeah. Well, the last game we attended was the Bengals game, and the
Oh
Ravens
yeah,
won at home.
that was a
But I know
badass
what you
game.
meant. The
Game
Steelers
before
game.
that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a bad one.
So
That
it
was
can
death by 1,000
happen.
paper cuts too.
It was so cold,
And it's so terrible. What a
and I
terrible way to
talked
lose.
so much,
Ugh.
and they had the last laugh.
Yeah, they did. Well, listen, let's wrap this up really quickly from a playoff perspective. With oh, geez, I was going to ask you a really good question. Oh,
Well,
here we go. So let's talk about who we see as the Ravens' potential opponents.
yeah. So right now, should I put the screen back up?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I think that when we did our video a few what was that, like
It was
or
last
a
week
week
or
ago?
2 weeks ago. Last week.
I think we maybe like we talked about scenarios, but we didn't give enough credit to I think some of these teams that could be making moves
Mm-hmm.
in a sense that like I think we kind of penciled Cincinnati. Like we talked about Tennessee and how Jacksonville's going to be nipping on their heels, but I don't know if we gave them enough credit. I think if Baltimore ultimately ends up as the wild card, I'm hopeful that they're the first wild card because I want them playing that final matchup. Like, even if it is Jacksonville, because I still remember that the Ravens had a lead in that game. I still have confidence. Let me ask you this. Who do you want to win that division if you know the Ravens are in the top wild card? Do you want to play Tennessee in Tennessee?
So let's see. Let me make sure I understand this correctly because the 2 is going to play the set. Okay, the 2 is going to play 7, 3 is going to play 6, 4 is going to play. Yeah.
So do you
Yeah,
want to
I
play
want
Tennessee or Jacksonville?
Yeah. I got you. I mean, who? Oh, gosh. I don't want.
Oh,
I hate that it's going to sound like I'm scared of the Titans because I'm not scared of the Titans, but I'm tired of playing them in the playoffs. Like,
what I knew.
you know what I mean? Let's play Jacksonville, who barely beat us. There's a little bit of a revenge factor. There's a pride thing on the line. Let's just stomp them out, right? Let's get it done. Let's put because look, they're playing with house money. I don't care what anyone says. Psychologically, there's no way that coaching staff or that team has the same urgency to actually do something in the playoffs as a John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson Ravens team who has vets on defense, who has Lamar Jackson, who's put all his chips on the table. You know what I mean? And so there's so much at play here where, yeah, it's the playoffs, but the Jags are like, we made it. You know what I mean? They're just excited to be there. And I don't think
but
the Ravens are there at all.
Does playing without expectation and that ability to play loose, does that help a team play better?
Good question. I don't think that's enough in this scenario.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look at Tennessee, I go, how do they scare the Ravens? I mean,
right.
they got a great run game, but I like our run defense. Like, I got confidence that our guys can shut down Derrick Henry again. They've done it before, and I think now with the addition of a guy like Roquan and what he brings,
yeah, no chance.
I like to see, bring it on, Tennessee, and the receivers on the outside with Robert Woods, and they're like they don't really scare me.
Yeah.
So I'd like to play Tennessee. I think the upside to the Jaguars is a little bit higher, although I would like to see a little bit of a revenge factor.
Good point, DK.
Whoa, is he?
Well, I mean, they're.
Yeah, but I mean, Mike Vrabel, I think, should be pretty secure in his job. I mean, this guy's been pretty phenomenal since taking over, I would think.
Bad season, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they did just fire the GM kind of unexpectedly. But I tell you what, Vrabel would not be without a job very long if he was fired.
No. Yeah.
That would be pretty quick. But so all right, so I'd rather play the Titans. You'd rather play the Jags. Michael Jarrett says, "Give me Tennessee all day." You think we have problems? Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
Tennessee's.
point. I mean, it's a valid point. I don't know. I just feel like something about that revenge factor though gets me extra motivated. And who knows?
And,
Maybe I'm wrong.
hey, I love the banter between Tennessee fans and Baltimore fans
Yeah,
too.
it's true.
You know that
It's
that
true.
brings me
Love to
back a
just
little bit.
stomp them. Just give it to them again.
Speed them into
Hey,
the
you remember who
dirt.
we are?
That's
Yeah.
right. You remember us? Remember these
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah.
But so let's see if they. All right, let's imagine they drop. Let's say the Chargers win out and they take over the 5th spot, and the Ravens drop to number 6. That means they're playing the Bengals in Cincinnati in back-to-back weeks after they finish the
Yeah.
regular
That's my
season.
least favorite. I don't
So
want
you
that.
think the advantage would be on the Bengals side in the back-to-back scenario, not the Ravens?
I think so. I think so. Now the only thing, Greg can be deceptive in the run game. I hopped off Greg's bandwagon, and now I'm
You're
like,
right back on, dude. You're
all I'm
catching that
saying is,
running train.
you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know, man. But there could be something there, right? With making plays look the same and having them be different. But yeah, that's my least favorite. I just don't like it, Glenn. I don't like it. It's my least
Yeah.
favorite. What about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't love playing the Bengals back to back. I would also I do remember the Ravens beat the Bengals earlier in the season, so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility they could beat them. But I'd much rather take on either the Titans or the Jags. But let me ask you this: would you rather play the 2 seed, and let's say the Ravens drop all the way to 7, rather than play the 3 seed? Like, would you rather play the Bengals rather than the Chiefs? I mean, the Chiefs then that go to the Bengals back to back. You'd rather go to the
Dude,
Chiefs?
this is gonna sound nuts. I think I'd rather go see Kansas City.
Really?
Just because you play someone so many times, you know what I'm saying? Like you become so familiar. I don't know if that helps us or hurts us. I don't know who that helps more in that scenario, but I feel like the Chiefs can get ran on.
They can.
And dude, I would literally tell John, go to Greg and rip all of the passing plays out of your freaking playbook, dude. Who cares? Just run it.
Scribble all over them with black marker.
Yeah, that's it.
Jared says, "Give me the Dolphins in the first round. I want that
Yeah,
rematch."
that would be a fun matchup too.
Yeah.
But that's a not an
I like
easy one.
that. No, but I tell you what, for me, I'd rather play the Dolphins than the Jags.
Interesting. I don't know how I feel
You
about
know?
that one. But is it because of momentum? Like the Jags are just so hot right now?
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, it's not really the only way that would be possible is if the Ravens win the division
Yeah.
and they play the Dolphins at home. So I'd rather play the Dolphins partially also because I know it's going to be a home game. And if we play the Jaguars, it's likely going to be a road game. So part of that is that, but also I know we were beating the absolute you know what out
Yeah.
of the Dolphins. And
Yeah.
so why can't we do it again? It's just Quan says Tyreek Hill game winning touchdown to send the Chiefs home. Yeah, I'd like to see it. I think I'll tell you what, if that is the matchup, I think Coach was it McDaniel?
Yeah.
Is it McDaniel? I think he'll have so much drawn up for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to try and make what you said exactly happen. There's no doubt about it.
100%. I think that's all for us tonight, folks. We covered a lot. I mean, a lot of topics. The last thing we got to do, though, guys, is announce our winner for last week's competition. I'm going to give a quick shout out here to Eddie Cope. Koppoe? Koppoe. There you go. Thank you, DK. Eddie Cope, maybe. It's just that. But either way, you are the winner. He sent us the DM on the DM on Facebook. So please send us a follow-up one. Yeah, that's right. Give him a
Congratulations, Eddie.
Yeah,
appreciate
shout
the
out,
participation.
man. Yeah, and make sure you send us your shirt size and address so we can send you your shirt. But the other thing too, we want to remind you guys of is that if you submit your prediction via YouTube, two things. One, please do not edit that comment because DK will sniff you out. And even if you had integrity when you were doing it and did it before the game, we can't tell. So you're automatically disqualified because we
So
can
if you
only
mistype and want to change your entry, erase your comment
just
and put a
delete it.
whole new comment. That way it tells
Delete.
the time and date.
Yep, because we can only tell the timestamp of the original comment. So delete it and just re-enter another one, but do not edit because then you are disqualified immediately. So, but that's
Yeah.
all for us tonight, folks. Make sure you join us on Thursday night. We covered a lot tonight. Thank you all for coming out. We had some good numbers tonight, especially for a Tuesday night. Tanja Bowman, Zepia Browman,
Yeah.
Tim Ott, Will G. I saw Nana in here. Let's see. It's just Quan, Jared Ramirez, Sean Pisker. Let's see. Axel, Michael Jarrett. All you guys for showing up. All you silent observers. We appreciate all you that couldn't catch the live and aren't in the chat, but watch it later. Thank you so much. But stay tuned for Thursday. We'll get you ready for that upcoming game, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.